Alright, so upon further inspection here, we found some burnt parts. And there's a bunch of problems with this thing that are just absolutely ridiculous. The fact that this thing even works would be amazing if it does. I don't know if it does. So you can see how thick these wires are coming over here. And then you come into here and you see this little tiny wire coming off of here. It's very, very small. And then we have that one bare wire there going there. That's too small. It's not big enough. This thing is no way that this thing can live up to its potential with an 18 or 21 gauge wire. So if we come down in here, this resistor right here is burnt. Most likely because of the wire size problems. So it's straining to pass power through there. And then there's another one right here, also burnt. So this is 247 right next to it. You'd have to pull up a classic schematic for this thing. Now, when I said that was possibly the bias circuit, well, there's a regulator there. This is an unregulated power supply going into this radio. And without like really analyzing the circuit here, I can see here we've got receive on and off. We've got an on and off switch with this shitty little fucking wire. I mean, look at that. So the power is going over there, and I don't know. They're obviously, they must not be running the power through this thing. This is just controlling the bias or something else. But the wiring in here is definitely a problem. It's not thick enough for a lot of this stuff. So we get the low and high over here. Receive on and off. And I can see the wire coming over here, going to the regulator. It's really hard to see what the hell's going on in here. But that goes back down into the board. And I would be really, really concerned if this is what's running this thing. Man. Like I said, I'm not an amp expert, but I've never seen any amps with wires this small on any of this type of stuff. And generally, most of these would have like a 12 gauge wire coming off the power supply going into it. Not something that looked like that. That was like between 18 and 21 gauge. Same thing with this little wire here. And it's not even soldered on there really well. So I'm not really sure what the hell they were thinking. I guess maybe just make it and send it on out the door, you know. I mean, you should be at least using a larger wire than that. And then they're using really long wires on the radio input and output sections, and they don't look really well done. So really there needs to be these wires are, for one thing, they're just too long, so that's asking for a problem right there. Anyway, there should be little mini coax cables instead, or at least a lot shorter. They should be using solid gauge wire going to it as short as possible. So it leaves a lot to be desired.